Nostalgia hoops, nostalgia sports and culture. Shout out to everybody just tuned in. So, if you haven't been up under a rock, you've heard the news. We've been discussing this over here for a while, so we already pretty much knew the outcome, and it's supposed to be a part of a bigger situation and negotiations behind the scene. It's just a part of the Russian prison process and political process. When you're doing certain swaps, I guess the inmate has to be sentenced. So that's why when she did get in contact with the current administration in America, that her team moved towards copping out to the sentence so that they could start the negotiations, because if it was just going to trial, they wouldn't have been able to intervene. So today, 8-4, I want to say maybe around 11 o'clock, something like that, Eastern time, Russian court jails U.S. basketball star, WNBA star Brittney Griner for 9 years over drug smuggling. So, as I've been saying from the beginning, it was going to be a tough thing because Russia can really, I guess, flex their muscle because, as I stated before, you're aiding Ukraine. They're in direct conflict with Ukraine. You came out, stood bold. And for me, America should always be first. American citizens should always be first. And I know there's information that has come out about uh, the son of the current president and laptop and different communications with the Ukraine, and so there could be other interests that I understand the word play, and business is business as they see it, but knowing that you had a prominent star of America, gold medalist, Olympian, compromise. I don't think the move as a proper leadership was to be aiding and openly standing with the opposition of the country that had the star of America. Not if you really had intentions and a true care about her well-being and her future. So again, we've seen with the last administration, there's proper ways that if your hand is respected by other countries, even when you talking crazy, we seen Trump saying everything that he was saying about China. But when Leangelo got in that trouble, it wasn't, he didn't sit too long. He got right home. Now he lost his opportunities in America. But as far as getting, that's one of the toughest systems that we hear about. As far as a penal colony, from my research, the only thing, I'm guessing it's just their word for penitentiary. The only thing that sounded a little bit more crazy than prisons and penitentiaries here is dude was saying that they be sitting up for like 6 to 8 hours a day, and you pretty much got to be on your feet. So it sounds like them southern chain gangs to a certain extent. But let's just go through Twitter and see some different information. Um, U.S. President Joe Biden under pressure to help free Americans held in Russia, called Brittney Griner's ruling unacceptable and urged Russia to release Griner immediately, adding that his administration would continue to work for her release. Griner was also fined 1 million rubles, the equivalent to $16,700. So let's see
Understand everything.
what she had to say. This is Associated Press. Fair use, fair use, fair use. This is just educational video.
I pled guilty to my charges. I understand everything that's being said against me, the charges that are against me, and that is why I pled guilty. But I had no intent to break any Russian laws. I want to apologize to my teammates, my club, Gemka, the fans, and the city of ECAT for my mistake that I made and the embarrassment that I brought onto them. I never meant to hurt anybody. I never meant to put in jeopardy the Russian population. I never meant to break any laws here. I made an honest mistake, and I hope that in your ruling, it doesn't end my life here.
92 ПК РФ, положение статьи 49-51 ПК РФ не могут быть применены.
Is a miscarriage of justice. The U.S. Department of State has determined that Ms. Griner was wrongfully detained. Nothing in today's decision changes that determination. We will continue to be closely engaged in this case. We will remain in frequent contact with Ms. Griner and with her legal team.
Very upset, very stressed, and she is, well, she can hardly talk, honestly, so it's a difficult time for her.
Yeah, so that's pretty much her response. I mean, she seemed a bit lax, like she understands that it's a process and everything that's already in the works behind the scenes. I wouldn't be surprised if within the next few weeks, especially with midterms and all of that coming up, that some type of negotiation is done. Now the US did get pretty bold and they asked, I think, for a teacher or something too. So on Russia's end, I mean, they got a lot to be upset about. I mean, it's not like, from what I've seen, that they really hurting as far as the combat situation, but it's still a point, like, you step in their business, and when you step in their business, I'm sure they're not gonna be happy about it. You've aided in the resistance being a bit stronger, or whatever their goal was. I think they wanted to get a city over there or something like that, or a certain section. You put a roadblock in there that may have prolonged them getting that. So that's going to be their perspective, and you tried to demonize them to the world as far as America, and you put sanctions on them. And I watched videos on YouTube just with the day-to-day life of the Russians, how different prices had went up for a minute, but then we seen the ruble price went through the roof. So it ended up benefiting them in the long run. But also it was an oil deal that was in place that was, broken. So I could see them playing hardball and kind of being like, why would I do you any favors? This is it's not necessarily about Griner, but it's just going to be, this is my FU to y'all. Y'all want to play games. Y'all want to demonize us to the world as far as their perspective, how they would be thinking. That's probably in line of their thought. Like, okay, you want to play a game? Well, here's my game. Chess, check. Man, I don't really think the current administration cares anyway. Because again, if you cared, you don't put her in position by openly showing your hand before she's back on homeland. So it's just something that you could have waited to do until her situation was over, even if you was gonna take that stand. So let me see what this video says. So that's pretty much the same thing. Let me go to this prison camp video real quick so you can kind of get an idea. They said she's gonna be in the penal colony of Russia. So let's go over and check one out. Fair use, educational purposes only.
For Alexei Navalny either. They forbid you to talk with other convicts, he tells me. You're on your feet all day from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. and never allowed to sit down. You can't even read or write letters, he says, for weeks on end. And if you break any tiny rule, you'll be disciplined, humiliated, and isolated even further, he says. Russian prison authorities insist Navalny will be treated like any other prisoner and won't be singled out. But scrutiny here isn't welcome. This is the front.
Yeah, so this is just the insight of somebody that was, locked up over there, and they're just giving a recount of their experience and going into a camp, or at least the outskirts of the penal colony, and just giving us some insight of what she might be in her experience.
You see these guards all waiting for us. One of the guys shaking his head there with the lovely dog. Is it possible to register to be in this area? Это возможно регистрации здесь. Нет? Почему? Потому что это режимная территория. It's because it's the territory of the prison. They said we can't even register to be here. Russians are notoriously secretive.
Yeah, so they're not even letting, the CNN people trying to go to the outside saying, can they, get in and get a look, kind of how they do the lockup series in America. Russia not tolerating it, just like the farm videos when they trying to get in certain farms, it's a no go. So just pretty much an idea for me. The penal colonies. It sounds like if she does have to end up doing that time, it sounds something similar to the southern um what's the chain gangs in the South where they make them work on the side of the road, and we know about the prison labor that goes on here in America. So it's unfortunate. We wishing Brittney Griner the best. Hopefully she can get back as soon as possible. But it's a lot of politics at play, and when politics at play, it's a big chess game. And if the U.S. wants her back, I'm sure it's something that could be negotiated. I don't know how much they really care about the guy that they're trying to trade, but I know it's a dollar amount. I know it's some type of deal, maybe buying a certain amount of barrels, or it's something that could be negotiated that could get her back. It's just a matter of how bad does this administration want it. I don't believe anything as far as talk. Oh, we're trying to make it happen. We seen the last administration make it happen with ASAP Rocky, with Leangelo. I want to say somebody, just a bunch of different people. So make it happen, man.